Hello, and welcome to the Mindset Bloomcast with Mallory. I am your host, Mallory McGary. I am the CEO and founder of Beautifully Blooming, and you can find me at www.beautifullyblooming.com, or you can email me at mallory@beautifullyblooming.com as well. You are listening to the WGSN-DB Going Solo Network radio, TV, and podcast, the number one internet talk network. So I am so glad to have you guys here today. We're talking about one of my favorite things. I feel like every topic I've talked about on this show has been things of my favorites, but this is something that recently has kind of skyrocketed in my life a little bit, and something that is so important, especially where we are at in the state of the world and how much just stress and anxiety and everything is out there. So, today we're talking about me time. And me time as a mom, I know feels a little selfish to say that I need it, that I want it. That is something that is good for me, that it is something that's just good for everyone in general, right? Because happy mom, happy family type of thing. But it's not only just for moms, it's for everybody. That whether you're kind of entrenched in your career and really like hustling, if you're an entrepreneur, if you're just growing a business, a small business, and maybe you have a position that you have people on the other side of the globe that you're working with, so you're trying to balance two different time zones in two different areas, that we're just caught in kind of a hustle and a bustle, that there's no real break. You're never walking away from something. Being a parent, you come home from work, there's no real transition time into getting from an an employee to a parent. It's just kind of like a quick changeover. There's no like slow time in there, and sometimes that can get overwhelming. And as an entrepreneur, you feel like you're working 24/7, 365 days a year. There's no such thing as a holiday. Um, I felt all of those things as I have started and grown my own business, and also as I've stepped into mom, especially working at home. I have found that that transition from working to being mom sometimes doesn't even happen. That sometimes my phone has become an added extension of my laptop, and that I just am always on the go. And I forget that I'm a person and that I have things too, because I'm going from taking care of clients and taking care of all the back end needs of a business to taking care of a family, making sure my household is run in a somewhat of a smooth way. I mean, I'm feel like I'm the queen of hot mess express most of the time, going back and forth for different things that I do. Um, and sometimes we are literally running on caffeine and chaos. But it I don't have that feel like I have that time for me. And so in the past little couple of weeks, I've found that I have been just really, really energy depleted, emotionally depleted, mentally, like I was tapped out from everything that I've been trying to do and been working on. And I just didn't have anything left in the tank, like nothing left in the tank. And the last episode, we talked about boundaries and how important those were. And I let my boundaries kind of slide a little bit and didn't take full responsibility and accountability for holding up that boundary and saying, this is when I'm done working, I'm not worrying about it anymore. These are the things that I allow at certain points. I let them all fall. So the kind of that foundation that I had built felt like it just kind of slightly crumbled down a little bit. So it's in a rebuilding phase, and boundaries are shifting, which is fine. But one of the boundaries that I set up was having time for just me. And I feel like we hear it all the time of having self-care is not selfish, right? but you feel selfish. You feel like you have mom guilt or parental guilt, dad guilt. I'm sure everything is the same in that you have whatever you want to title the word before guilt is, but that if you're not doing and focusing on the things that are important to you, whether it is your business, whether it is your family, um, trying to balance all of these balls that all of us are juggling, that stepping away for a second is just feels like you're not being a great steward of the things that you're over. And really, to be a good steward of everything else that you're over, you have to be a good steward of yourself. And so, self care obviously is not selfish. And you could hear that until um, I'm blue in the face. But until it actually becomes part of practice, it's not going to make a huge difference. And when it's like, oh, I'll go get a massage here, or I'll get a pedicure here, I'm going to get a treat here. It's not, or I'm going to go do something I really enjoy right here, but it's not consistent. It doesn't feel like it's replenishing your tanks. So ultimately, um, it may feel selfish. It may feel like you're not giving everything that you have and not feeling like you're hustling the way that you want to or think you need to hustle. And I'm going to give a little bit of story in this about the hustle and why I kind of lost some of my own me time and those boundaries that I had set, because I've been putting this into practice and making sure that I at least have 20 minutes a day that's just to me. That's not exercise, that's not um, business related, that has nothing to do with being with my family, that is just strictly for me. And that 20 minutes is just to refuel my cup. And we'll get into some topics and ideas later. But so I've been working on a couple of different back end projects and trying to launch a few different things out at different times, but they're close together. And right now I'm in the middle of a launch, and um, it has just eaten up so much more time than I had anticipated. I thought that it would be kind of done and dusted just because I was invited to be a part of this launch. So I didn't think a whole lot, like my advertising, yes, would be, and my own personal marketing, because I'm a part of it, would be a little bit of time, but adding into it, the things that I'm doing already, it wasn't looking like it was going to take a lot more time than I had originally planned for. But as I started getting into it and getting more prepared for it, it started to eat up way more time than I had anticipated, and started to take little things away from what um, was actually important to me, and what things were kind of in my schedule and in my planning, that I was trying to then fit it in where I could. And so I ended up losing the time, that 20 minutes that was just dedicated to me and my schedule before, to make that transition from a work to being a full and present mom. And so I started to even pick up, usually my boundary is also, I'm going to like cut complete work off. I'm not going to respond to anything after my kids go to bed. I'm going to enjoy some quality time with my husband, get some other house chores done and things like that, projects that we're working on at my house. And I was taken away from that. I was jumping into different things, and I just was becoming more and more exhausted, and I felt like I was just trying to give from an empty tank, and it wasn't great. So here I am, mid-launch at this moment, but as it started the week before, last week, um, about midweek, about this time, I was pretty much done with what I thought, and I just said, I'm losing something, and I'm feeling empty." And looking at my schedule and things that I had done, I was like, I knew exactly what I had lost. I had lost that 20 minutes that was just my time. So I stopped. I made sure that I put it back into my schedule and my rotation. And I have put in every energy and everything that I can into this launch. And what comes of it is going to be great. I'm partnering with a lot of other amazing people. So it's not just me, but we're all launching together. And I have found that the community part that I felt like I was missing, I gained because I could give more to the community and get more back from it and give more to my clients and get more back from them because I had recentered and refocused on the things that were important, which started with me. So I know that as we research these things, I researched the topics. I ran into an article that was on psychologytoday.com, and it talks about the unselfish art of prioritizing yourself. So again, back to self-care is unselfish. Um, but here's here are the reasons that they list why. When we feel depleted, we have nothing to give, which we just covered. Doing what we love recharges us. So um, we're going to hit on this for a second. I'm just going to kind of go through the bullet points because I have something to add with each of them, and it really resonated with me. So doing what we love recharges us. Now, as I have kind of been lost in all of the roles that I played, that I forgot the things that I love to do. So through my journey in creating my business and creating my program, that um, I've refound the passion that I had for a lot of things. Also, I found new passions that I really like to do. So one of the things I really, really love to do is to read. And if anybody who knows me knows that I have at least 5 different books that I'm reading at once, plus probably about 3 or 4 different Audible books that I'm also listening to. So I have quite the library that I listen to. Not all are the same, not even in the same genre. Um, so it just kind of depends on my mood what I pick. And luckily, my brain can compartmentalize all the details, so I don't have to go back and forth to try and figure out the storyline. But um, as I've gone through that and figuring out those things that I love, taking the minute to decompress, it lights me up because I get new ideas from something. I find different things that are like, oh, I could totally relate to that. And that is something my clients are probably thinking about. Or I can recommend these sorts of things because it's something that I'm looking for. So my clients are probably looking for that. And my audience is looking for that. Maybe I'm also honing different skills of learning how to take care of indoor plants. It's a really big struggle for me, but it's something that I'm finding I really like to do. And no matter how many succulents I can manage to kill, I keep still buying them, which I know you're not supposed to be able to kill them. So I digress. But so it's recharging my battery, it's recharging my energy. It's um the best way I can describe it, I like to talk in metaphors sometimes. And so the best way I can describe it is giving that flower, the dying flower, the water. It's what's going to kind of give it that life again, giving it a little bit of dose of sunshine. It's going to bring it back to life. It's going to make it bloom. It's going to make it grow. And then it's going to have that energy to give out to the life cycle, right? The bees, the birds, everything that happens to touch a flower, that it replenishes that life cycle. So it's kind of the same thing. We're a wilting flower when we're in that empty spot and depleted, that doing the things that we love are giving us that dose of sunshine, um dose of water, all of those things that are helping to replenish those cells and make us stronger again. So number 2 is doing what we love recharges us. Number 3, we lose our real selves in the do mentality. Now, whether you're a parent or you're single, doesn't matter. We have somewhere in life, we have been taught that we need to literally pack everything we can into a day. We need to have extracurriculars, a career, um, like hobbies that are taking us to do a bunch of things, um, going back and forth to as many things that we can, having dinner with all of our friends, whatever it is, we're just trying to pack all of the things into literal 24 hours. And it doesn't matter. We're doing um this constant go go go. There are times when I feel like my husband and I are ships passing in the night. We see each other, but have we really sat down and had an honest conversation and been like, how are you feeling? Like, how are you really doing? Let's sit down, let's reconnect. It's kind of like, hey, now, how's your day? Super great. Okay, how's yours? Good. All right, now moving on to let's get the kids here. Let's do this with the kids. Let's do that with the kids. Let's now we got to work on this project. Let's put the kids to bed. The projects are happening. We're just constantly going that we haven't had time to decompress from the moments before that. We're always just continuing to just hustle and bustle that we're losing that actual what makes us real, what makes us human, our genuineness. Just because we don't have the time to stop and again smell the flowers, right? We don't have the time to stop and enjoy that beauty because we have to be going from one into another. It also happens with a career. We've got to pack and hustle as much as we can because whether you're going for a promotion, maybe your job is just you don't feel like having lax time is going to just ruin all of the things that you've got going for you. Maybe if you have that lax time, then your company might not see the value that you're providing. So you want to always stay on top of that, stay on top of your game. That really, in the end, when you sit down at the end of the day and actually have a minute to think about it, what are you missing? What do you feel like you're missing? So number three is we lose our real selves in the do mentality. Number four, we can drain others when we don't get our own needs met. How true it is, because now we're not getting our own needs met because we're focusing on the do, and the go, 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 that we are forgetting that we are people too. That now we're also trying to find our validity and that filling up the cup from somebody else, which they are probably also draining from an empty tank. They can't give it to you, or you're sucking their life force because you're trying to get as much to fill up your tank as you can, and it's not filling up your tank the way you want it to. So, something else to think about on that we are constantly, I feel, as a society, always needing others' validation for whatever it is that this is a great business idea. This was a super great Instagram post. This is a really, really funny reel. Uh, what you're doing in life is great. You are like the best parent ever. You have so many great skills. And we're looking for all of those like stamps of approval when really we don't need it. We can get them from ourselves, but have we taken the time to look and sit in with ourselves to find what those are and what we're needing to fill up our cup, right? You can get hearing it from other people is great, but when you're empty, you're just searching, kind of doing that fishing for more to just fill up that cup. And you also have a tendency to complain more. So you're draining their energy also because you're complaining about the things that are going on in your life. So it kind of can get into this weird cycle of you're draining others, but they're draining you at the same time. And you're both already drained by the things that you've got going on. And now it's just kind of this toxic environment. And we're wanting to seek like the solution and the benefit from others. And it's not really coming to pass the way that we want it to. So think about the people in your life that you turn to and do that with, and maybe wonder if you're draining them sometimes of, oh, maybe that is I go to them too much for looking for this type of validation. Maybe I'm going to them too much just because they listen and I can just spill everything out and good, bad, or otherwise. It all just comes out and they listen. And nobody is going to be like, slow down, you're draining me. They're going to listen and they're going to be there, but they may feel the energy depleted as well. Or think when people do it to you. Also on the vice versa. Think when you have that person or friend that always comes to you to complain about things or talk about things, and you just kind of brace yourself up a little bit going, okay, I'm going to listen to this. I'm going to find a couple of like good words of wisdom in there. But it was like, when you leave that conversation, you are just tired beyond all get out. That is exactly where we are at in this. So just quick recap. Number one, when we feel depleted, we have nothing to give. Number two, doing what we love recharges us. Number three, we lose ourselves in the do, go mentality. Number four, we can drain others when we don't get our own needs met. We're going to jump to a quick commercial break, but come on back. We're going to do the last few little bullet points on self-care and the importance of me time. You are listening to the Mindset Bloomcast with Mallory. I am your host, Mallory McGary. I am the CEO and founder of beautifully-blooming.com. You can find me at beautifully-blooming.com or email me at mallory@beautifully-blooming.com. You are listening to the WGSN-DB Going Solo Network radio, TV, and podcasts, the #1 internet talk network. We'll see you in just a minute. Welcome back to the Mindset Bloomcast with Mallory. I am your host, Mallory McGary. I am the CEO and founder of beautifully-blooming.com, and you can find me at beautifully-blooming.com or email me at mallory@beautifully-blooming.com. You are listening to the WGSN-DB Going Solo Network radio, TV, and podcasts, the number one internet talk network. So, welcome back after that awesome commercial break. We are talking about the importance of me time and the things that benefit from that. So, quick recap on the first part of this episode. We are talking about some of the 7 tips of why self-care is not selfish. And we've talked about when we feel depleted, we have nothing to give. Doing what we love recharges us. We lose our real selves in the do mentality. And we can drain others when we don't get our own needs met. So now we're hopping on to the rest of this list. We have 4 more points to touch on. But number 5 after that is we lose ourselves to our critical inner voice. How many times do you listen to that little voice in the back of your head saying, oh, you're going to fail, like you're not very good at this, oh, you need to try harder because so and so is better, or you're not doing a good job in life because A, B, and C, or these people are doing this, how come you don't have that? Any of that. How many times have we fallen victim to that? I'm first to admit that I have fallen victim to that. There is quite a bit of it's kind of a good and bad, the critical inner voice. Sometimes it can help us to achieve things. It can inspire us to do the things that we need, but other times it can just ruin every bit of it. That it can just tear you down. Most of the time, from my experience, it can tear you down over building you up. And there's nothing wrong with listening to that critical inner voice when it is helping you be productive and what is pushing you. There's sometimes the inner critic will say you'll be happier when you make X amount of dollars, when you have the ups, and when you have bought this type of car, toy, whatever, that you have had all of these things happening that we forget in the middle of trying to achieve that we're people too and we need to experience this. But when we're not making those points, then all of a sudden, and those small goals to get to that point, then we have the inner critic now flipping its voice saying, you're failing, you're not doing a good job, you're never going to be able to reach that. And it starts to shut our little box down, which is not awesome. And there's nothing really that it's helpful for. And it also tells you that having me time is selfish, that you can't do it because you're taking away from something else. That your mind is that if you do this, then all of this stuff that it's trying to get you to do in that go mentality is going to fall apart because you're stepping away from it for a minute. Again, back to enter mom guilt or whatever word that fits you before guilt, that if you're taking care of yourself, you're stepping away from all of those things beforehand. And it is the easiest way to lose track of what's really going on around us, and it is distracting us from the lives that we are living, in the lives that we really want, because we're just so we get so wrapped up into what that inner critic is saying. And you are your harshest critic. I'm the first to admit it. I'm the harshest critic, but saying that is and listening to that voice all the time is going to end up detracting you from the things and the goals that you really want. And sometimes that inner critic, as a recovering perfectionist, has made it so that it's not perfect in my world, that it's failing, it's totally going to fall apart. And it's not. Everything doesn't have to be perfect. I went through this whole process, and knowing that launching a course in a business, it wasn't perfect when I started. It's still not perfect, but it's perfect for what it is right now, and my capacity of knowledge for what it is right now. It's perfect. And as I'm learning, my business is growing and different things are happening because I'm learning things. So I can't have it perfect because you don't know what you don't know. And I've had to turn that voice off a lot of the time. Instead of it telling me I'm going to fail and flop, I'm going to actually succeed because I'm learning and growing, as this whole process is learning and growing. So number 5 is we lose ourselves to our critical inner voice. Number 6, we fail to practice self-compassion. Soak that in for a second. We fail to practice self-compassion. We don't give ourselves grace. I know a lot of episodes, we have talked about giving yourself grace, being able to forgive yourself of those amazing things that we are working on, right? That, oh, you didn't fail, you just learned something new. We're not giving ourselves grace and saying, you didn't know this before. So what you're doing is growing. What you're doing is learning. You didn't have to be perfect at that. Listening again to that inner critic voice, that critical inner voice, inner critic of saying, shutting it down and saying, hey, we're having this compassion for ourselves. Self compassion is not um, something that it's practiced really anymore. I think bringing back the couple lot over the last couple of years, bringing back the fear, the that meditation is important. It's kind of getting us back to that self compassion, that mindfulness of accepting our thoughts and our feelings and not being overcome by them, by acknowledging that they're there, sitting in those feelings, moving through those feelings, and then moving on. That we're not isolated or different from other people. We're all experiencing different things and different um, trials and struggles, but we're all on this to grow on this planet to grow together and to help each other. But if we can't be compassionate with ourselves, then we stop to feeling um, that empathy and that sympathy for those around us that they're going through. We stop even feeling empathy and sympathy for ourselves in the things that we're trying to learn. Practicing self compassion actually improves our well being and it improves people around us, obviously, because we're giving them that um, strength and that empathy and that sympathy that's going to help them grow. And by practicing self compassion, we are learning that we are not judging ourselves too harshly and we don't feel unworthy or different from anybody else. We feel more comfortable being in the skin that we're in. We feel happy and accepting of the things that of the person that we are, and we can spread that joy to those around us. And there's so much more that is needed in the world. I feel like that's the opinion of Mallory, that everybody needs to be comfortable being themselves because everybody has their own perfect gifts that somebody else needs. And just being able to share that with the world and shine that way is exactly what we need. Everybody needs to just shine with what they have and have that compassion with others as they're going through their journey, because everybody's at a different learning spot on this amazing life plane. We're not on in all the same spot. We're not all having to learn the same things, but we're all learning together and growing. So number 6, we fail to practice our self-compassion. Number 7, our stress hurts us and those close to us. So take a second, think of the last time you actually sat and checked in with yourself. When was the last time that you made time for the things that were meaningful? And thinking about that right now can also probably stress you out because you may be like, oh, that was too long ago. I don't know when the last time that was. Maybe I need to like start thinking about that. Um, but slow down, slow down. We have been going back to a couple points earlier of that do, go, go, go mentality that kind of we wear our stress as a badge of honor, right? Like I have so many more things happening than you. I am way more stressed than you are. And in some weird way, we've incorporated that that's like our definition of success. The more stressed I am, the more successful I am. Instead of the other way around, the less stressed I am, the more successful I am because I'm actually rich in a bunch in all areas of my life, not just trying to be fulfill whatever and compete with. I don't know who everybody's, if you feel like you need to compete with somebody, but maybe it is competing with that person on Instagram, maybe it's competing with a neighbor, maybe it's competing with a sibling, maybe sometimes maybe it's competing with your parents and trying to start where they are right now and maybe be better where they're at right now, and you're at point A and they're at point Z, but you want to get to point Z and then beyond that to compete with that, whatever that looks like for yourself. That stress level kind of proves our value and how important we are, because we do wear it as that badge of honor, but our stress levels also can take a serious toll on our mental and physical health. um, the effects of it often can catch up to us and end up affecting how our relationship to others, how um, we are enjoying our lives. Are we is your physical um, health have maybe you've given up on a great practice that you had of being like going walking or being in the gym, getting that exercise. Maybe mentally you've given up the that moment of meditating and kind of coming to your self-awareness, checking in with yourself, making sure that you're doing okay, that we've lost all of that. So in turn, we're pushing that stress level to others in our lives that are saying, "Oh, I am so stressed out and you just add to my plate, and the things that you've got going on just add to my plate." And everything like that, which then in turn creates this huge funnel of tension and anger and maybe some arguments and things like that that are just not healthy in any way, shape, or form. And it starts with a tiny little ball of stress. We do wear that as a badge of honor. So reevaluate your life, kind of reflect maybe about the last little bit and see if you're wearing that stress level as a badge of honor of I am this, and this, and using it as your value marker, your your standard, your my I am worth this much and this is everything that means to me. So I have to do all of these things, and part of that that go mentality of how much stuff you have going on equals how much stress comes along with it. So that determines how successful you are or how great of a parent you are or how great of a whatever it is you're looking for, what if that defines what that is. So number 7, our stress hurts us and those close to us. And last but not least, that driving ourselves can impair our performance. I know this seems like a little crazy, a little like off the mindset path, but the way I'm looking at driving is not physically driving a car, but just driving your physical being, right? Losing lack of sleep, um, losing uh, the focus, keeping that stress level high. What you're going to do in the long run is not be able to perform your best at whatever it is that you're going for in your life. You're not going to be the business owner, entrepreneur, employee that you want to be because you're burnt out. You're not going to be the parent you want to be because you're burnt out. And life is not meant to be a spot of just burnout, a consistent and constant burnout. We're meant to enjoy it. In the last few years, as I've was researching for this topic, I noticed kind of a trend happening that it was we brought back more of those things of like slow down, meditate. It's okay to put stuff off. Take care of yourself. It's super important. because we lost it. We were starting to be a society of consistent burnout, which isn't fun in any way. I've been through burnout. I've been through employee burnout. I've been through entrepreneurial burnout. I've been through mom burnout. And none of it's fun. None of it is like, "Ah, please, I want to go back to that." No, it's not. I live a way better life now because I'm taking care of the one thing that can help fuel all of my dreams and can keep me in that happy place because it is filling up my own cup. I am doing those things and making that time purposefully for myself, for things that don't involve everybody else. Because as much as my family fills up my cup, and as much as my clients fill up my cup, and as much as those that I collaborate with and work with fill up my cup, it's not all that fills it up, and it doesn't fill it up all the way. But checking in with myself, seeing where I'm at, evaluating where I'm at, enjoying some just downtime for just me is exactly what fills up my cup. It fills it up that last little bit that nobody else can fill. And I don't have a void that I'm constantly trying to shove with something else, whether I'm not trying to shove added things in that go, go, go mentality into thinking it's going to make me be more energetically able to give things, to be more open to that sympathy, that empathy, that kind of allowing myself to be me, giving myself that compassion, any of that. I do schedule a time block in my day for it. Maybe that works for you. Maybe scheduling that time block in your day. Maybe it's while you're driving on your commute, you find something that is enjoyable to listen to. Maybe to it's your favorite music that is just you, it makes you happy and nobody else in your household likes it. I have that at my house. Maybe it is just finding a podcast that really lifts you up, listening to a book, driving in silence, whatever that is. Maybe that's what you do to de-stress and kind of move forward. Maybe it's in the morning. Maybe it is your workout routine and that morning routine that you have. Maybe it is taking a nice long bath and enjoying the bubbles and all of that's around you. Maybe it is just going to bed early and reading a book before bed or getting into a really good nighttime routine. Maybe that's your jam. Whatever it is, make sure you find that time for it because it's not going to hurt you. It's going to help you. It's going to take care of so many more things along the way and end up making you a better person because you are taking care of the one thing that matters the most. You're only in this body for however long, and it's the one body you get. So taking care of it and taking care of your mind and your physical self, your mental self, your emotional self, your spiritual self, whatever it is that lights you up is going to be that me time. Do what lights you up. If you need help finding what that is, let me know. I'm happy to discover it with you. I'm happy to go through that with you. This is something that we cover actually in my course that we spend a lot of time on. Self care is huge in building that foundation for moving forward into your life. And it's so important. I feel like it's so important. I have become a 180 of a person from what I was 5+ years ago to now because I've put this into practice. I have made sure that it is something that I do not sacrifice, or I try not to sacrifice, being fully transparent. And different times it's easier to sacrifice, but getting back into the routine of it is what's going to keep us moving forward and going forward. So, quick recap of all of the points we touched on today. Self care is not selfish. Please, I ask you to do it in that it will fill up your cup, it will make you a more energetically happy person. So, the 8 tips we went over: when we feel depleted, we have nothing to give. Number 2, doing what we love recharges us. Number 3, when we lose our real selves in the do, go, go, go mentality. We can drain others when we don't get our own needs met. We lose ourselves to our critical inner voice. We fail to practice self-compassion. Our stress hurts us and those close to us, and driving ourselves can impair our performance. Again, driving is this physical body of learning how this works and not utilizing best self-care practices end up ruining our performance in the long run. So please, please, please take some time in the next 2 weeks before our next episode to take care of yourself. Do something that's just for you. Fill up that cup. Please email me at mallory@beautifully blooming.com. I would love to hear how you're spending your self-care days. I'm always looking for new things, so please hit me up. You can find me also at beautifullyblooming.com. You are listening to the Mindset Bloomcast with Mallory. I am your host, Mallory McGary. I am the CEO and founder of Beautifully Blooming. You are listening to the WGSN-DB Going Solo Network, radio, TV, and podcast, the #1 internet talk network. Have a wonderful rest of your week. Thank you so much for being here, and I will see you guys next time. Bye.